All right, this one, throwing my opinion around on Elon Musk and what his type is. In Socionics world, he's sometimes debated between an LIE and an ILE. So that's the ENTJ versus the ENTP. In my view of it, and speaking myself as an LIE, I would say that he is not an LIE. He is probably an ILE if I had to pick one. Maybe even something else, but I would say ILE is probably the best bet. So why? One of the things that I see he doesn't, or I say doesn't get brought up enough, is that his primary thing he's known for, the big thing that people like about him, this idea of like going to Mars, is impractical. And that's not something that an LIE would do. It's impractical. Why? Going to Mars, while a very nice idea and a vision, it takes an enormous amount of things to happen to make that even possible in the near future. It is more of a fantasy. It is more of an imagination and an idea that you find interesting that you want to play with. It's kind of alpha quadra childish in my view. Now, let me articulate why. So, the idea, the concept of like, let's go colonize another planet because we're concerned that human beings might destroy themselves or somehow die here on this one planet. So let's become a space-faring civilization. Okay, it's an interesting idea. It's a nice concept. Got it. However, at this current junction in time, what's it going to take to actually colonize Mars? Not only do you have to build rocket ships to get there, you need vehicles that can travel the distance from here to there and back again. And you got to somehow make them cheap enough to keep doing that. Because in order to go to Mars and colonize it, you're going to need to create some logistical chain of vessels going back and forth, bringing supplies, bringing people. It has to be big enough to carry the supplies, to carry a lot of people to and fro. Okay. Think of Europeans colonizing the Americas. You needed large ships carrying hundreds of people traveling to the Americas, establishing colonies, and those ships had to be going back and forth across the Atlantic, able to withstand the several months at sea. Okay. It's a massive logistical undertaking. It would billions and billions of dollars to even begin to try any of this stuff. Once you got to Mars, you're now in a hostile environment. You're in a hostile environment that is not meant to support human life. So you need to bring everything possible to create some kind of a dome, biosphere, livable habitat, whatever. More money, more supplies, more crap that needs to be brought over and ferried back and forth to keep this going. In order to have a colony, you got to have not just a few dozen people or maybe 100. You need them in about the thousands to begin to matter. That's a lot of resources to support that many people on a planet that is hostile to human life. Even people colonizing the Americas, at least they're traveling to a new continent with rich resources, trees, breathable air, water, food, game to hunt, things to do. If you travel to Mars, you don't have any of that. So there's so many problems along the way that your LIE would be cynical about this and not find this to be a great idea. They're not keen on doing this kind of thing. It's impractical from that standpoint. That's something that kind of gets lost when they're making this debate on LIE versus ILE and so on. So it seems something more that an ILE in some sort of alpha childlike mentality would want to do in the first place. Then you get into other things that he does, most notably his very, very public and very shitty FI. I don't know how many women he's been through, how many wives and so on he's gone through, how many weird relationships that he got out of and then jumps into another one before the other one's even quite done. It it's very public. it's showing him jumping ship from one to the other, not demonstrating a lot of emotional sensitivity to the individual women that he was with. Um, Even just naming, just getting these children and then like naming them like silly alphanumeric goofy names, that you can't even pronounce, that he's just infatuated with these letters and codes and stuff. Like, this is just impractical. It's goofy as shit. It's childlike. It's like a little kid who's happy to make his own encrypted server or something. He finds this funny. Like, he suddenly saw the Da Vinci Code and got inspired to make his own little Da Vinci Kodak, whatever the hell that thing's called. It's goofy. This is something that's probably more alpha quadrant going on. Okay, really bad FI, really bad. I'm not saying LIEs are perfect, but it's a type that is more likely to have stable long-term relationships. When you see LIEs, even the billionaire ones, some of them sometimes divorced, but they were in a relationship that was stable for 15 years, 20 years. You don't see Gates running around with, married 6 times and stuff like that. It's just silly. So it's not very LIE like at all. Um, I find it amusing to sometimes see like IEI types like Trey, who say they love Musk and so on. They think that he's a visionary. He's got to be an LIE and what he's doing. And it's like, no, Trey, it's because you just don't have TE yourself. You don't understand what's practical and what's not. You think it's a visionary, great idea. It's like, no, let him take those billions of dollars and he could do something more practical here with it. The man has, I don't know how many projects running simultaneously. Some of them are like goofy projects that have nothing to do with colonizing Mars. It's things that are something else altogether. And he's got so many of them, he can't possibly be managing them all, which LIEs would want more hands on their own projects and stuff. They want to be more part of what's going on rather than just handing it off to somebody else to deal with it all, because you can't be there for it. He does a lot of mismanaging. What the hell is with Twitter? He bought Twitter. What's Twitter have to do with Mars? Look at the amount of money he's lost on Twitter messing around with that. What does that have to do with your vision of Mars or any of that stuff? Nothing. Waste of money, resources, and time. This is something an ILE might do, but not an LIE. So, in short, putting my opinion on that thing, Musk is more likely an ILE in my view than he is an LIE. I know he's a bit of an unusual guy. He's kind of weird, maybe touched, whatever. Some say it's part of his genius, if you say so, but that's not really LIE to me. Uh, I think it's outside of the stereotype of him being a billionaire who runs companies. That's not LIE behavior at all. It's probably even foolish to think that, oh, you're an LIE, so you work hard and you run companies. Listen, most people don't run major companies like that anyway. Very few of them do. Gates managed, his computer in Microsoft. He made a lot of money off of it. Once he reached that stratus through that threshold where he had so much money, then he moved on to doing other things. Right now, I see Gates doing trying to help create better sanitation because he wants to rid disease in third world countries in Africa and places like this. He wants to get rid of a very practical problem, a very real down to earth issue. Sanitation requirements in places that don't have them. That's where he's throwing his finances, his ingenuity, getting researchers and people to build better sanitation devices, things that they could use. That sounds like an LIE to me, and he's committed to that. He's not someone running wild in the social sphere either. Okay, better LIE for you. Jeff Bezos, LIE. He came up with Amazon. It's a practical thing. It distributes resources and foods and products that people want and need, and that's what he focuses on. Yeah, he has a lot of money and there's other ways to make money. So you get like Amazon Prime and whatever, it's something on the side. Okay. But none of this is really taking away from his primary thing he's doing. He's another guy you don't really see out there just causing chaos in the public sphere. Another LIE. So in my book, Musk, you're an LIE. I'm sorry, you're an ILE, ENTP.